everyone again. Welcome to our Tuesday Live. Today, I'd like to talk about the uncertain times that we are in and what can we do to create, even in this environment, great teams or teams that are thriving. I was invited, it was very interesting just to see that on LinkedIn I was invited to contribute to this article that was powered by AI and the LinkedIn community. So it's going to be interesting I'm going to just go over it a little bit and show you how AI can go back and quickly, with a very quick search and thinking and coding and everything that has behind the scenes, provide you with what's the latest information that it's important, what are the things that are in people's mind, what is the most probably as a forecast, the next thing that may come around that may be needed. So this article was about the uncertain times and how a team, you can still build a team that it thrives in this environment. So it was very interesting to see that, yes, we are, and you see that we're living in this very fast changing and complex world. Nobody can just say that that's not the case. But how can we lead and also support the team that we're creating in this environment? It may be very different than what we have done probably 5-10 years ago, when we were all in the same place. We were all we could see face to face. We were going to work. We were getting ready mentally, physically, and we showed up in a place where we could contribute, and everybody had their own routine, and everything was in a way by the water cooler or the coffee maker. We met with one another and we could exchange things. It was a physical, very different way of interactions that what we're doing even now over this Zoom or this StreamYard, whatever it's called, right? It's very different. And just to look at this scenario, you could just see how, looking at those teams that exist, and they are currently much more different, and in the way they interact in a hybrid maybe, or just virtual way. So those strategies and the way you can succeed when you are in that environment, it's going to require new things and new thinking, and just realizing what can you just do to still be successful. So how can you highlight the existing challenges, and how can you just go over and conquer each of them one by one. And I want to say that even if I look at extensively at what is in the literature today about this, you could see that one common denominator is the fact that we need to be more connected with the way everybody else is thinking in their team. And we need to just make sure, in order to avoid the burnout, that we are part of something that matters. So this is very important, because the burnout, it's going to be much higher in this environment that we exist right now, because we're not going out probably that much. We don't have time to connect physically with another person and just be in front of them and have that conversation that is so much needed for our brain to release the great chemicals, right, that they have we have in our brain, and just make sure we're getting more positive and attitude, and we look at each other and we kind of feel the energy. It's very hard to do this through a virtual environment. It's not impossible, but it's a little bit different way of approaching. So looking at all those little challenges, and probably for some companies those become even bigger challenges than than before, you want to kind of look at how can you make sure that you take pretty much everything that you have at your disposal. You think about one thing that the article was highlighting, and I'm just gonna go in a detail in a moment. It was it started with a fostering a growth mindset. And I know that maybe most of some of the comments here were also added by other people from the community. And one that just caught my attention was like, it's not always possible to have that, to foster a growth mindset. And I would say that that's not the case, in my opinion. Everybody is entitled, can enable this growth mindset. And even if I am responsible for being curious and asking questions and asking to contribute to certain things and receiving to a certain point that opportunity, it's going to help me develop this growth mindset. I will just probably think less about things and just do it. And while I'm doing it, I discover, and while I discover, I can find ways to solve problems. So empowering the soonest possible someone who comes along to your team to do certain things, it will help a lot. It will help a lot when somebody is watching and just you see that they're a little bit interested in what you're doing, to invite them to actually help and to show them what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then have them kind of contribute with what do they think about that? How do they do it? How would they do it differently? And just collect that involvement and ideas that they get. You're gonna do two great things there. Not that you're gonna find out something about someone who is probably new and you're gonna get a way to connect with that person, but by giving them the chance to empower them and adding them to what you're doing, they will just feel so well connected to the mission of whatever it is that you're participating. And that invitation is going to elevate the trust that exists between the two of you, and it's going to create that potential to help tremendously both of your mindsets to actually grow and be useful in the future. So another one was basically around the communication. And I know communication is such an important topic, and it's going to come up pretty much everywhere and any time. But it is essential to build trust. But how are we building this trust? I talked about this in past videos. It's just the way we're going to learn to connect with someone, listen to connect with someone, and not just to find answers and to show off what we have in our mind. It's a very different way of having a conversation. And that is when we will have the ability to kind of understand and utilize, discover what each of the other person that are in front of you and yourself have to offer in a certain environment, or even whatever the purpose of a solution that you're working on with someone. So I would say that it is very important to great perspective, to find great perspectives are kind of discovered like through mining our minds. And if you are mining, of course, you need time. So you gotta be patient, and you also need to be consistent. You're not going to discover a diamond somewhere and you just dig for 2 days and then you go away, right? You're going to just continue to explore. So it is exactly in the communication. You're going to stay with that and have purposefully conversations and set up yourself for discovering, and just find out what else is there that you haven't seen yesterday. And of course, say that to the other person, because they will be happy to know what you're discovering about them. Another topic that was added here was around making decisions and empowering the team to make decisions. I would say that yes, this is absolutely critical. It's going to help tremendously if you, and I definitely love when leaders lead others to excellence by empowering them to make decisions. I will not be or try to build any teams that in any other way. I will just, it will be a waste of time if you can, and the possibilities. So I would feel like if you want to stay near and also with those who are inspiring you and trust you. So it's very important to make sure you are in the right place and you stay there only if you see how you can also grow and contribute. It's going to be important also and it's a common thread again around the well-being of the team and also the resiliency. How can you build resiliency? And yes, there are ideas here that are shared across the article, and it's talking about the positive attitude that you need to have. So in one of the earliest videos, we talked about how can you form a team with different characteristics that and the ways we all lead. So you could just mix that. So you could have somebody who's positive, you can have somebody who's raising the energy level of your team. You could have somebody who is going to perform as a teacher there and share and make sure everybody is up to date with certain things, and also someone who is advising and someone who is influencing the team to be moving forward. So all of this is very, very critical. And if you want to build a resiliency around something, it's also important to kind of watch about you overthinking, because overthinking is creating that stress, and the stress is going to trigger the part of the brains that we don't want them to be triggered in when we make decisions and when we are actually on a path to create something with so much uncertainty around us. In order to be fluid in uncertainty, we need to stay positive and find those by engaging, find ways to engage with others and share with them very openly whatever you have. So those are some ideas and some subtopics for how to build those teams. And I will go ahead and probably add to that the fact that technology and those tools are also very critical. And if we learn how to use them, and if we learn how to first understand the purpose of what each of the tool that we have at our disposal is going to help us. It's going to be also very important in sharing and utilizing our platform, a team performance in a way to enable that to be more effective through whatever the tools exist. And sometimes looking at the tools, also see what are those tools that are actually, instead of creating better teams, are actually helping probably someone capture some information, but not necessarily supporting the innovation or supporting where your mission is actually going to. Validating that tools, it's very important, could be very useful or could be also detrimental sometimes. So analyze that part as well. So, yep, that was what I had in mind for today, but is also, as always, I would love to hear your questions, and I would love to also look at how do you feel about the moment that you are invited into a team, and how engaged do you feel like you are with others, and what kind of invitation are you getting from your leaders to perform and to make these decisions, and how much time do you feel like they have and they put into discovering who you are, and how much you could also control the fact that you are also able to discover about others, and you can take a little bit of a lead into how to better see what else is there and what kind of assets do you have along, if you're just going to find out more about your teammates and learn how to best use those. And I will leave you with the last idea here that I think is very, very important, and it's about the burnout. And I know that I just read that the surveys from Deloitte supporting that there are over 70% of the workers are suffering from burnout within the last year. So that is pretty kind of crazy and hard to kind of look at it. 70% of the entire team, if they suffer about burnout, it's not going to be helping your team thrive, right? It's going to get your energy and exhaustion at work and your mental distance from the task that you need to have and your career. So it's going to be very, you're going to see a very huge drop into your productivity. So if that happens, then think about the burnout. If you see that that's happening to you, or you see somebody else, the mental health challenges exist also, and divorces or any other things that are happening in families are also linked to this burnout. So one thing important that I found out here was in this article was the major factor of being burnout, feeling that burnout, is the fact that the lack of proper rewards and compensation for the work you're putting in. So I'd like you to think about that, because that's very important, very true. It's very true to me as well. So if you don't find the ways to have a proper rewarding for feeling fulfilled that you have contributed to something, and I'm not talking about necessarily about the money aspect. It's important, the compensation that you're getting, but also the impact that you can make. So as a leader, be careful on how you're inviting and how much contribution each team member can make, because that could become what's the most important teams that are high performing teams have. It's the energy and the connections and the innovation that comes out of it. It just stems from the fact that people are recognized for what they can contribute, and they have the autonomy to make decisions, and you give them all of them, you share with them all the successes, and you just lead them towards challenges that, let's tackle this. I know we can do this. We'll find a way. And I need you, all of you, to come up with ideas and to come up with ways in which we can fix something, right? And you know that exists there. You know the solution exists somewhere, but you just may not be very clear on how to paint that picture for them. And you don't want to do that. You want them, all of them, to come along and to solve that with you, because when they get that involvement, then they are going to stay there or longer engaged, and the higher, the better the productivity will be. The higher the contribution, the better the productivity. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna just say that I hope you have any questions on this. I hope I can answer them, and I love to connect, and I love to learn more about you. And if you can just get about 10-15 minutes on a call, I would love to share and hear from you basically what you are in your environment, how do you feel, and what exactly is that you could see that you could contribute more to and you don't feel invited. And I will help you with maybe getting some ideas and how to make that shift and to take a little bit of more of a lead to perform at the highest potential that you can have. See you later. Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.